Welcome back, everybody, to our Crypto Spiritual Weekly. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm airing from transCODES Energy Healing and Energy Coaching here in the mountains of Colorado, United States. And if you don't know what crypto energies are, then let me just explain real quick to you that this is a spin-off of a weekly energy update that I've been doing for years, namely for energetically sensitives, empaths, and for people that find themselves in a state of awakening. And because of the nature of the crypto market that is highly emotional and consists of what we call a grassroots movement, namely people like you and I, and for some reason also a very high number of people who are drawn to cryptocurrencies, not only for financial reasons, but also for, I don't want to say spiritual reasons, but for empathetic reasons, for the feeling or resonating with these cryptocurrencies and the technologies that are emerging out of this market on an intuitive level. And I've taken it onto my profession here as an energy coach and energy trainer to reflect on cryptocurrencies on a daily basis. The Crypto Spiritual Daily is published in our Facebook group. So if you would like to get daily updates, come there. Here, I'm just sort of brushing over the current situation, go back, review last week's crypto energies, and then go into the forecast with a few energy tips for you guys. So I'm assuming that you guys all know what cryptocurrencies are. If not, there are some videos that are posted in my group that can give you an overview, basic how-tos, and things to avoid. And I want to make clear that I am just someone who relays information. I'm not someone who will give trading calls. I will, however, reflect on things that I have chosen in a particular week and what my conclusions are. So look at this as an expression of my subjective experience here in the cryptocurrency world, but also from a standpoint of an energy reader and energy trainer. All right, so much for the credentials. If you were with me here this last week, then you have had a hell of a ride, like all of us here in the crypto world, and we've just gotten past the shock of this, the hodling and all the memes that are being formed around this. People are making songs about hodling now, cool songs, by the way. A wonderful new way of responding to this movement, really, that we can observe. So last week was the big crypto winter storm, and I had warned about this. We are almost over the hump, guys. Today, Bitcoin is testing and successfully maintaining the $8,000 mark. So I don't think that we need to be super concerned about some of these FUD news that are coming in here today. Once more, Vanguard, Bitcoin could go to zero. And this is just a really good example. The funniest news that I've seen today actually is someone who warns that the cryptocurrency market could be responsible for crash in the stock market. Duh. But it's funny how this news outlet contextualizes it as the cryptocurrency market causing the crash, completely ignoring and completely brushing over the economic data, the futile political things that are going on right now, and not to mention, of course, all these memes against cryptocurrencies that, as we all know, is a disruptor technology, and that takes out the middleman, takes out all these organizations, all these institutions that benefit from doing nothing but controlling our data, controlling our transactions. And so, yes, there's the whining has started, and that's actually cool for us because this is the beginning, guys, of the cryptocurrencies moving from the innovator state into the early adoption state. All right, we are now seeing media coverage of Bitcoin, blockchain, and some of the associated cryptocurrencies all over the place, even in mainstream. Even your mom has read about Bitcoin now. So this is the time now when we enter the first trillion coming into the market. This is something we could learn from this last week's ride. So once we got past the irrationality of this market and also some of the negative side effects of moving into mainstream, namely that the mainstream media that is relatively uninformed yet picks up on whatever they want to. And this is what has created a lot of this up and down, and also the needed but somewhat sudden correction here with the Bitcoin and all the altcoin prices in the last week. So if you've gotten over your shock yet, relax, stay calm. This is a really good time to look at the market and to realize some of your losses, yes. But if you have been listening to my advices here, not the investment or financial advices, but your strategic advices, then you should have only really bought into technologies that you can really relate to, that you can feel that there is something cool going on, that there's a great team behind it, that there is an integrous intention as well as integrous product behind it. Because if you did, then you may notice that your portfolio or the value of your portfolio didn't even suffer that much from it. Yes, of course, there was a huge correction here. And this is something that those of us here that are familiar with trading, at least stock trading, see quite a bit, that once this 60% correction occurs, that there's a new foundation, that there's a new pattern that starts. And this is exactly what I have reflected on in the energy update here just half an hour ago. As far as the overall collective energies are concerned, we were in a plateau, in a 3-4 week cycle here these last 21 days, which, by the way, led me to do a 21-day breaking through the matrix programming live energy training video series here. So if you are interested in this, not so much here from the crypto perspective, but from the overall collective energy perspective, and how to break through things, and ultimately also how to get through these storms and sort of the bombardment of this war against cryptos that is going on, then watch this video series. It's for free. As far as like the recap for that last week is concerned, these FUD news and defud newses and all that got created the part of the irrationality here. And we've also seen, and this is the reason why I made fun of this news that I read today with the stock market. The truth of the matter is that our economic data and our fiat currencies are at an all-time low, but that the old paradigm does not allow us to actually face that. And so there's a lot of gaslighting going on that has led to a plunge in the stock market this week as well. And I've said this last week already, I'd be more concerned if I was heavily invested in stocks, because that is not looking too good. I just find it funny how this is being blamed on cryptocurrencies. No, cryptocurrencies are not the ones that cause that. Cryptocurrencies are the ones that help us to hedge that help us to see new hope and to see a way how we can be financially responsible, self-responsible, and self-sustaining, and how we can loosen the grip of this collective power matrix that has been controlling our money in the past. And so we're looking at a place here now, entering the second week of February, where a new pattern starts, okay? A new cycle is starting. It has not yet reached that place where you can just lean back and, you know, watch your cryptos growing. We still are expecting a little bit of a correction here, not as the winter storm as we had it last week, but a minor correction that needs to take place to release some of the market cap that flew into shit coins, basically, as they call them, you know, like stupid business ideas or scammy business ideas. And this will continue here, guys, as and this is probably the best good news here for the last week, besides some really cool developments for Litecoin, is that the CFTC meeting that is supposed to regulate some of these things in the crypto market has actually, especially the chairman, John Collins, brought a really positive view and a really embracing view for cryptocurrency. So we can expect that the United States is going to be open for supporting new technology. And this is something that my energy reading tells me we will look back to in years from now as a pivotal event. All right, so this was really cool this week. It's only happened yesterday, but there is a lot more confidence now that we know that the regulatory parts of our governments are actually embracing for cryptocurrencies. And quite frankly, we already know this. There is no way of stopping it, okay? It'd be really not smart to go against it. And so this also reinstates a little bit of the trust in the intelligence of those people that are in charge of some of these regulations. All right, so let's hope that this is validated and that this develops here into a new vision. The way we can contextualize this crash here in the cryptocurrency market that happened, or correction, is, as I announced last week, is the really needed development and building a strong foundation. And this is the cool part of going through such a tough ride here, is that it's now consolidated. We are not quite over the hump, I'd say, like I've mentioned already, but there is a new vision now. And the vision, you know, can only come through, you know, releasing all those unrealistic expectations. And they have, of course, to do with our ego's greed and so forth. So you've got to understand that as long as cryptocurrencies are being hyped, they also potentially crash a lot deeper. All right, so it is in our deeper understanding and the larger vision here that we build a foundation for it to organically grow. And Cliff High predicts Bitcoin parties at the end of the year celebrating $100,000 Bitcoin prices. Let's hope that this is coming to play. I am seeing this as well. So in my visionary mind is absolutely no doubt about this. Do I see us having to go through some of these correction cycles? Absolutely. As an energy worker, I know this. This happens with us all the time. And the best way to hedge that, to counteract that, is to accept that life is a constant cycle of change and improvement. And so we have to go into reflection, into feedback, into correction, and then release again, so that whatever it is that we are building here can become stronger. And this new vision here, I want to point this out, is related to the learning experience of this past week. It's very, very important that you see that. What did you learn? Learn about yourself, about your own psychology, about your energy, where it goes in those places. Because this is what you will need to work on if you want to be a successful and happy crypto investor. Okay, you're going to have to learn that these corrections are part of the cycle. You also have to learn that your hype and trying to get other people into this and trying to convince other people of cryptos and so forth, that you cannot make this depend on where the mainstream media currently carries this. Okay, if you fell into a deep dark night of the soul last week because Bitcoin prices went to $6,000, then that's a sign that you're attached to it, that you've externalized part of your being to something external. And that's very dangerous. You got to be careful there. Just because you are an innovator like myself, I've gone through these cycles all my life. When I first started in the software industry, this is 35 years ago, guys, people were laughing. And when I went to university for chemistry and then made public lectures about food contaminants and how the chemicals in our foods actually make us sick and so forth, and also the meds and so forth that we're taking, I was called a conspiracy theorist all my life. All right. And the same happened when I recognized the big connection in all and devoted myself to energy work and started to learn all different kinds of modalities that help people to reconnect within and really heal from within. I experienced it again. So here, the crypto market is only like the fifth innovation cycle that I'm in my life, and I can tell you that everything is going according to plan. This is how the cycle goes. So if you are younger and you don't have that experience yet, then just stay calm, just trust in your inner feeling. Really, I hate to say it in conjunction with financials, but here you have to. And the energy tips that I can give you for this coming week, okay, as we're shifting, into a more accepted type of energy here for cryptocurrencies, is that you, first of all, don't make yourself depend on what other people think about cryptos. Okay, we had all these naysayers come forward this week, and yes, and they're going to come forward the next time. Cryptos have another correction. They have no idea of stock market. They have no idea of technology or finances, but they're going to come and say, see, I told you, so you're going to lose everything. All right. So suck that up for now. Don't, plan a secret revenge when you do your Bitcoin party at the end of the year. Instead, understand that this innovator cycle is the place where only 1.5 to 2.5% of the entire population actually understands what this is. All right. And it is then in the early adapter stage, and we've talked about this here in the past, when the next sort of 12% or so come in, 13, 17%, and begin to, this is like the people who buy all the new iPhones, those are the early adapters. And until we reach the mainstream, which will probably take another 2, 3, 5 years, okay, you are at the birthing stage still of all these technologies involved in the cryptocurrency market. So, you don't need to get your revenge later. It will speak for itself, okay? I've heard the same things people say when the internet first became mainstream. I was already in the software industry before the internet, so I was like right there. And trust me, there's a point where you don't need to say anything anymore. Okay, you just know where you're standing, and you know that you can trust in your inner guidance. So if you are an empath, if you are an energetically sensitive person and visionary who has a good feeling for innovative things, then yes, you are at the right place. All right. The few things that we need to heed here, dealing with next week, are some of the outer energies that are coming in. All right, so there's still a little bit of healing needed, a little bit of recuperation here, and it's not so much just the currency itself, but also the people involved, the investors involved. That's why the market cap is relatively low right now, somewhere around 390, I think, at the time of this video, and this needs some time for healing. All right, and in this time now, in this next week, it's a wonderful a time to do a little bit of research. There's some cool ICOs also coming out next week, and to watch these mechanics, to really look at these patterns, that why and how people react so emotional to certain things, and maybe you see the connection between collective energies and the cryptocurrency mechanics, which I can see very clearly. We do have, the need to go into more cooperation, and I am expecting that those coins that have that seek the community, that seek the cooperation with others, and Litecoin is really good at this right now. So Charlie Lee's doing a great job, but there are some other altcoins that really emphasize the community aspect. These are going to be supported by energies, which means that if you can feel this, that they're actually, really promoting the original spirit of crypto, right? The decentralization and the open source and the trust, really, that is promoted through the blockchain technology, then look at those coins. My energy tip here for the next week is, first of all, dump everything that you do not have a feeling for. Do not do these things that day traders do, to hedge the ups and downs. You don't need to. For the next year or two, you're like perfectly fine in building a position and holding it. Yes, you can always buy more. You can do the dip buying, as I've recommended a few times here this week, but it's more about you really connecting with the team, with the product, with the need, the value added that comes with the company that has that coin. All right, there are some wonderful new technologies that are filling up all different kinds of niches in our economy right now, and it's not about finding the one and only, because there's always space for 2, 3 in these new segments. Also, really favor those companies that do open source. That's something from a crypto spiritual point of view is beneficial for the long run. All right, and then look at the larger vision of the cryptocurrency market. Okay, yes, there are a lot of rebel energies in this movement, but ultimately it's really about producing products, whether it's software or protocols that help us to make our life easier, to help us to circumvent the middleman and to become more sovereign. And that's something you should always keep in mind when you look at coins. That's why I recommended you 2 weeks ago to really look at the project, the team, the people that run it, and also how they present themselves and how open they are with the community. Yes, the normies. There's actually a funny meme there's 2 memes this week that were really helping me through the shock of the crash, and that was a new song and a new abbreviation in the crypto market, BTFD, by the fucking dip. There's a song composed around it. It's cracking up. But there was also something extremely funny that only a few people noticed, and that was a guy dressed up as the Charlie Lee chicken meme in the background of Z meeting. So those are funny little things I love about the crypto community. Okay, there's a humor in this, and a really cool spirit about things. So when things go low, remember this. Remember to enjoy this ride, to listen to those rappers that come up with huddling songs or whatever. This is the spirit here, guys. This is a movement. This is not just a financial investment. All right. And as far as the energies next week is concerned, really, really trust in your inner connection and your heart mind. Okay. So when I say trust your intuition, I don't really mean to just sort of buy into your fantasy. No, what I mean with that is to really connect with the merged, mind and heart in you. Oh, and speaking about innovators and innovation, I just read the most recent statistics about women in cryptocurrencies. Yay, I'm officially an innovator there as well. The max number of women in cryptocurrency altogether is 3%. All right, so just right there. And I'm used to this in all the areas that I've worked in my life. I was one of the very few, the early women in these places. And I can only encourage you, if you are a woman and you're watching this video, go for it. There is a wonderful disposition that you have, not just as an empath, but also as a woman who can relate to things that I'm talking about, namely the fusioned heart mind, like to be in both worlds, to straddle in both worlds at the same time, to be completely rational and to understand the technology and all that, but at the same time to be able to connect with your heart and the integrity that comes with that. So not that all women are integrous. That's not what I meant with this. What I meant with is the ability to discern truth from falsehood. It's the ability to discern, a business idea or a business or a token or whatever. We all have this ability in us, but women are usually a bit more connected with this. So one last point that I want to make here before I let you go is to look at the adaptation cycle one more time and to show you where we're at right now. There are certain dynamics in the crypto market that can be observed, and once you understand them a little better, then you will feel a bit more confident as to how to contextualize, some of the news, some of the FUD, some of the stuff that is going on. When Bitcoin or blockchain first started, it was mostly the miners who needed to be convinced, that this is something that they need to do, and so mining was really cool in the early stages. I was not part of that. I did, however, think about making my children mine, since they are spending all their time on their computers anyway. My kids are more conservative than I am, so they didn't buy into this. But in the beginning, it was important to get the miners onto the boat, and this has happened. Last summer we've experienced a few sort of monopolization attempts and a little bit of issues with mining. There was a few scams here this week as well, mining scams. Those are all software related things. But the next thing is really to get the speculators into the boat, and this has happened, here towards the end of 2017, and we're going to see this all year 2018. Is the people who are really interested in making money. They're not interested in the technologies, and that's why what I recommended you to do, will not necessarily reflect in the ups and downs of the prices, but on the long run, it will persist. It's just like, how the universe works, how the nature works. There are temporary ups and downs, and there's always a balance that needs to be maintained, but there's an overall evolution that takes place, and that is the one that you want to link yourself into. That's what I meant with seeing the larger vision. And then we're now at a place where we need to get the merchants in, the people who sell their services or products and allow people to pay with cryptocurrencies. This is a very important early adaptation process. So if you have a business, if you have offer services, then you can contribute to this by actually starting to accept cryptocurrencies. There are software programs that allow you to tie this into your checkout process, and we're all waiting for these handlers of that, which are part of some of, in my view, the most promising coins that we need to look at here for the next 6 to 9 months, simply because it's the biggest need here for decentralized exchanges, for wallets that offer the most security, that offer the most convenience, that make that easy, and also for payment processing systems that can allow merchants like myself to easily accept cryptocurrencies as payment method. So if you have a product or services, then get going. All right, this is the time where you need to ask your software guy, or yourself for that matter, to change your checkout system to accept cryptocurrencies. And as that then finds its way really into seeing more and more use and application for cryptocurrencies, that's then when the consumers come in. This is then when we reach the mainstream state, and that's when we don't need to worry about this anymore. Then the volatility of the cryptocurrencies will also go down, and some of the excitement as well. And according to Charlie Lee, who published here this tweet this week, called them the metrics of success. When the astronauts start using cryptocurrencies, then we know that this is fully adapted, fully established in the mainstream. So until then, we need to rely on our higher vision. And I hate to say it, but especially next week, has a lot to do with faith now, with really devoting ourselves to this and seeing this as a new paradigm, as a new way of living for ourselves as well. All right. All right, here is a question. One of the things I don't like about ICOs is the KYC. KYC stands for Know Your Customer, and that's a process where the companies that are releasing the coins have to get your data. They're asking you where you live, what nationality you are. Some want the copy of a driver's license and so forth. A lot of that, Gerald, has to do with the undifferentiated regulations in the market right now. As soon as there's an overall consensus about the consumer security in the ICO process, say, then this won't be needed anymore. There are developments here overall, especially in Europe, not so much in the United States yet, but to increase the data security of the individual. GDPR just as a keyword here, and as these things become more globalized, say, and as there's a general understanding as to how the procedure has to be, what prerequisites are needed to even be eligible to issue an ICO, then it will become easier for us as consumers or as investors to invest in ICOs without having to go through this really complicated KYC process. Personally, I've had some very bad experiences with this myself, and many of you who live in the United States are still restricted from participating in ICOs simply based on you being asked what country you live in, and if United States or Canada is your country of residence, then you are excluded from certain ICOs. So yes, let's just suck this up for the moment and see all this go away with some of the more sort of say established regulations that are coming in right now. Like I said, the meeting here in the US was a wonderful first building stone for this regulatory committee that is now working on this, and we can expect that the United States is going to be a forerunner there simply because of its dominance in the financial world, at least for now. Yeah, I don't like it either, but it's going to change. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Come to the Crypto Spiritual Facebook group for daily updates and comments and pictures and whatnot. And also watch the energy updates if you want to know more about how collective energies in general play into the crypto market. For now, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the ride. Give yourself space for healing, okay? for working through the shock and licking your wounds a bit. But don't ever forget to enjoy the ride. Wonderful. Thank you, guys. See you next week. Same time. Bye-bye.